Wondering what's the buzz? Then tune into Happy Hours for your dose of all that matters. The exclusive HR podcast by NHRDN in partnership with Timber Media, podcaster for India Inc.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Happy Hours, podcasts by NHRDN. I'm your host Nikita Doshi from the NHRD Bangalore Chapter Executive Committee and work in the learning team at Publicis Sapient. Our guest today is Manoj Kohli, who is one of India's most respected business leaders. Over 4 decades of global experience, he has held top leadership positions across a wide range of industries and companies like DCM Shriram, Escorts, and Bharti Airtel, to name a few. Mr. Kohli is currently the country head of SoftBank India, supporting over 20 portfolio companies, enabling them to achieve their full business potential. He was recently appointed the Asia Society Victoria Distinguished Fellow. Welcome to Happy Hours, Manoj. It's an honor to host you.
Thank you, Nikita. I'm delighted to be with you and HRD community all over India.
Thank you, Manoj. So, Manoj, as you know, in this episode, we will focus on building business orientation amongst HR professionals and HR leaders. And I know it's a topic that you are very, very passionate about. And I'm looking forward to this podcast and learning from you. We have 2 sections, bottoms up, where we would like to hear your perspectives on this topic. And the second section is rapid fire, where we will get to know you better. So let's start with bottoms up.
Fine.
Bottoms up.
Manoj, your career journey has been very, very inspiring. First 10 years in HR and next 30 plus years in business. What made you shift? And did you face any challenges, and what were your learnings in this transition from HR to business?
Nikita, I came from a middle class family and with strong hunger and strong desire to do well in life and lift my family to a higher level. Now, for that, I felt after first 5 years that people are at the center of business. And if I am good with people and I can rally people, motivate people, encourage people to do more, therefore, I believe that I can do well in business too. Because frankly, people are at the center of business also. And this mental thesis pushed me to take on business responsibility after nearly 10 years of my initial career. The last 32 years, I've been a CEO and a P&L manager. And my experience in US, in Europe, in Japan, in China, in Africa, and of course in India, various parts of India, in Delhi, in Calcutta, in Hyderabad, various industries has validated the fact that people are at the center of business. If you know how to manage people and make ordinary people into extraordinary jobs, to really help them, empower them to make great business achievements, then you're all set. So I think that was the germination of this idea, and today I can say in retrospect that the idea in 1989 when I shifted to business was the right idea, and I if I have to do it again, I'll do it again.
Thanks, Manoj. I have about 9+ years of experience, and I've been thinking for a long time to, of taking up a business project or a business role. And, the way you articulated your entire experience has also inspired me to take action on it soon. And if you can do it, I'm sure any one of us can do it too. Manoj, marketing, finance, a lot of other streams, people from other streams grow a lot faster than, people from the HR community, and they get a lot more exposure too. And I've also seen that with my MBA batchmates. Why do you think this happens, and how can we elevate the brand equity of HR?
No, I think HR needs to move ahead. HR managers need to move ahead into the new era. And as the new decade starts in 2021, I think it's the right time to move to a higher level, from winning the hearts to winning in the markets. And I think that's the challenge HR should take, HR managers should take. And for that, HR managers should do 3 things. Number 1, they should constantly analyze the business environment, because business environment is so dynamic, so disruptive now. It literally changes every day, every week. And it's very important for HR colleagues to understand the environmental changes and its impact on business, on people, and connect all the dots of what is happening in US or China or Japan or Europe on the business of my company or my business. So that's the first thing. Second thing is HR managers need to get deep into major business problems. If the business has a problem of marketing, if business has a problem of technology, or business has a issue with regulation of the country, that HR should understand and get deep into. Because if they don't understand the key business problems, then actually they will not be able to even motivate people. So motivation of people and encouraging them to do more depends on their basic understanding of business issues, business problems, the hurdles in the roadblocks which are there today in the growth of the business. So that is second. Third is understanding the financials deep. And this is one area where I have seen many HR people are weak. I think they need to understand P&L deeply. They need to understand balance sheet deeply. They need to understand cash flows, how inflows, outflows have to match. They need to understand leveraging. They need to understand financial ratios, which are so important for business success to move ahead. So all this understanding has to be gathered. And I remember when I was 25, many years back, I used to actually think of these issues. And therefore, I was able to make an important shift after completing 10 years of my career.
Thanks, Manoj. I think you beautifully articulated it from winning hearts to winning business, which also reminded me of Dave Ulrich, the father of HR, who states that HR professionals must move from knowing the business to be able to position the business to win in its marketplace. So thank you for that. Just extending on to your responses to the previous question, what would be some practical tips or some advice to, HR professionals who want to learn business or get into business roles? Any tips from your side?
No, absolutely. Dave Ulrich, by the way, taught me in Michigan about 27 years back, and he's a fantastic teacher. And what he says is very appropriate. So HR managers, as I said, have to move to become business managers by not only winning hearts, but also winning in the markets, because that is the big shift you should take. And for these big shifts, I'll give you 3 or 4 specific real life example. First is thinking customer. And I remember I was in DCM then, and we were launching some beach towels. And I remember I was part of that textile team, and I suggested that we should really price them properly, package them properly, because the customers of beach towels don't have too much price sensitivity. If the product is so good, then let's price them in competition with Bombay Dyeing. Bombay Dyeing used to be a leader at that time, and invest more money in the packaging, so the packaging is high quality. So I'm just giving an example how I got involved into marketing, into branding, into pricing, which is so important because you have to think customer. I remember another example in Airtel. We were launching Bihar Circle, and as we launched, and you remember those days, from paper coupon, we were transiting to electronic recharging, which was called Easy Recharge by Airtel. And in Bihar, when we were launching, I suggested to the CEO of Bihar that, why don't we stop paper coupons in Bihar and launch straight with electronic recharge rather than have transition later. Now, the CEO was a bit hesitant, so I requested him. I said, why don't we tomorrow morning, half day spend in Patna markets, meet the dealers, customers, and understand how they think, and then take a decision. So he said, fine. So next half day, 3-4 hours we spent in the marketplace, shop to shop. And when we came back to office, the CEO agreed with me on my idea, and I could still feel on his face he was hesitating. So I told him, I said, Deepak, if you are not fully convinced about the customer response, why don't you try it out for 15 days? And after 15 days, if you feel that paper coupons are important, then you can do it. You don't even have to ask me. So he said, fine. So after about 3 weeks, I asked him, I said, Deepak, what did you decide? You never came back. He said, no, Manoj, customers have accepted it so well. They love electronic recharging. They feel it's so simple and easy to use. Even if they are not very educated, they love to use it. So I'm saying HR colleagues have to understand the customer. That is my first request. My second request is they have to think business model. They have to think, what is the business model of my company, my business? How is the delivery of goods or services made to the customer? Can it be better? Is my business model unique compared to competition, compared to global business models? Or is it higher cost, lower cost? And here I like to give example again of Airtel, where our business model of outsourcing was completely new and unique globally. And we experimented it because, frankly, at that time it was a small company and a loss-making company. And we said, let's try it out. And we tried it out. It was a very challenging transition of next 2 years. but HR people understood the reason behind it. They helped the business model to settle down. They helped the people to transition to Ericsson, Nokia, IBM, and other partners, BPO partners. And it finally became a fantastic business model, which was later replicated by many, many telcos in the world. So it was a very strong business and HR collaboration, which led to a globally new business model execution. So that was my second idea. Third idea is brand. Think brand. Again, I like to give Airtel example, but you can even think of other new brands which Southbank has in India, as Ola, Uber, Lenskart, Paytm, Policy Bazaar, Oyo, etc., etc. So brand is your reputation. Brand is your face. But the biggest challenge which we can overcome, and HR and business have to work very tightly, is that every employee is your brand. Every employee has to say, I am Ola, or I am Airtel, or I am Lenskart. And if I am Lenskart, then I have to reflect all the values, all the key cultural aspects of the company, all the strengths of the company through my behavior, through my actions, through my performance. So that is think brand. And last is think high performance work culture. Now, high performance work culture is critical in the next decade. If any company suffers from medium performance or low performance, there is no chance for it to sustain in the long term. And therefore, high performance work culture, and I've seen this, companies where the work culture is strong, and I've seen many portfolio companies of SoftBank. In the past, I've seen Airtel. In the past, I've seen even Escotel, where I worked in Escorts. Fantastic work culture where every person was doing his best or her best. Every employee was empowered, was the owner of the company, owner of the brand, owner of the business. And that ownership led to high performance. So these are some ideas I wanted to share to the HR colleagues to move from winning the hearts to winning the market.
Thanks for sharing these examples, Manoj. Thinking customer, thinking business model, thinking brand, and thinking high performance work culture. I'm going to keep this in mind. They're very, very helpful. And I'm sure our, listeners, will also keep it in mind and take action on this.
The exclusive HR podcast by NHRDN in partnership with Timber Media, podcaster for India Inc.
Manoj, 2020 has been an unprecedented year for all of us. And as we are at the fag end of the year and we're wrapping up 2020, what are your wishes for the HR community in 2021?
First and foremost, I am very optimistic and hopeful for 2021. I think pandemic will be behind us, especially after the vaccination, and it's a new era which is starting across the globe. And I have few wishes for HR colleagues, what they should do new in 2021 onwards. First, wish that HR colleagues lift themselves from transactional business to empathy and lifting the employees to the next level of performance. So transactions are not important or can be automated, but more important is lifting every employee performance to the next level, and that actually is critical for HR colleagues to imbibe. Second is, HR colleagues should understand the new digital behavior of the consumer. In the last 10 months, the consumer all over the world and in India and even in small towns and villages in India has moved from offline to online behavior, which means online shopping, digital transactions, digital financial transactions, transfer of money, payments, all digital. This behavior shift in 10 months is equivalent to 1 decade. So this they should understand. HR colleagues should understand how are consumers changing their mind and what is the impact on my business. The third is HR colleagues, I wish they understand the new startups. How do new startups work? How does digital business work? How is it different from established business? What are the new things? What are the innovations? What are the new ideas which millennial talent is up to? Millennial talent is average age of 27. They're up to a lot of new things which are very different from the past. So they have to understand, especially HR colleagues who work in established companies. Next is, I wish HR colleagues understand the disruptions which an established company can do to itself if it wants to face competition of startups. Now, many colleagues who are working in established companies, old companies, they should help the management, help the leadership team to disrupt itself rather than be disrupted by the competition. And HR colleagues should help and lead and catalyze that change. But they have to first understand the change, understand what are the implications before doing it. And last but not the least, HR colleagues should understand that how high performance can be sustained by constant empowerment, constant recognition, and constant celebrations. Very, very important to raise the bar of performance constantly to the employees. And let me tell you, in my experience, 90% times when you raise the bar, employees come up to expectation. There are very, very few, maybe less than 10% times when they don't. So I feel that this is something very important for sustaining high performance, constantly raising the bar. So these are the shifts I feel HR colleagues should bring from 21 onwards for the next decade.
Thanks, Manoj. And I'm sure this will give a lot of perspectives to our HR community as they enter 2021. And with this, we will wrap up the first section, which is bottoms up, and move into the next segment, which is the rapid fire, where we would need just 1 to 2 line responses to each question. So are you ready for that, Manoj?
Absolutely, but don't be too tough with me.
The easy questions, Manoj. So let's start.
The rapid fire round.
Manoj, your big learning from 2020?
Resilience and empathy go hand in hand.
Wow. What gives you hope for 2021? You mentioned you are very optimistic. So what gives you hope for 2021?
Vaccinations and hunger to come back gives me hope.
Wow. Your 3 big predictions for 2021?
1, higher growth of online business. 2, leaner organizations with higher performance culture. And 3, unique business models to serve the customer.
Great. 3 keywords that define the shift in the role of HR business partner over the next decade.
Customer, financials, business model.
3 areas HR professionals should learn more about.
Finance, branding, and supply chain.
3 books every HR professional should read.
Books by Steve Jobs. There's a book, I don't remember the name now, but you read that. Steve Jobs, Apple founder. Second is a recent book by Obama.
Yeah.
And third is Execution by one of my bosses, Larry Bossitti.
Great. I will definitely read these. Your hobby?
I love to trek and keep eye fitness.
Great. So is that on your plan for the vacation in December?
No, not this December. This December I have to be careful because of pandemic. But next year, definitely I have climbing Kilimanjaro on my checklist.
Wow. Your role model and why?
You know, my role models are not business role models. They are a couple of people like Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi. Because these people didn't worry about anything but had huge courage to do whatever they thought was right. That courage is fantastic. For example, Mandela was in jail for more than 30 years. And he came back with great positive spirit. Can you imagine the courage he had? The positive energy he had to come out of jail after 35 years and still be very positive. He not only forgave people, he went on to creating a new nation, new culture, new acceptance of each other. I think that courage is marvelous.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. In fact, both these people are also epitomes of leading from behind. I think both Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi. The last question, a quote that inspires you.
There are many quotes which inspire me, but one of the quotes I thought of Gautam Buddha, and he said, thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle. Happiness never decreases by being shared. So basically what he is saying is that share your happiness and make the world happier and healthier community.
Wow. Thank you so much, Manoj, for ending on such a deep note and for sharing all your nuggets of wisdom with our listeners. And all your leadership towards NHRDN. It's always wonderful to learn from you, hear you, and I'm taking back a lot from this podcast. You're truly an inspiration. Like you said, you ended with a quote. I would also like to end this podcast with a quote on the topic which we discussed about, which is HR and the element of HR and business. And this was a quote by Steve Wynn, who says, human resources isn't a thing we do, it's a thing that runs our business. And with that, I would like to wrap up this podcast. And Manoj, wishing you and wishing all our listeners a happy 2021. Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you, Nikita. And I wish a lot of happiness and good health to the entire community.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wondering what's the buzz? Then tune into Happy Hours for your dose of all that matters. The exclusive HR podcast by NHRDN in partnership with Timber Media. Podcaster for India Inc.
NHRDN Podcast. Happy Hours is sponsored by My Adrenaline.